Okay, so hello, I'm Emily Edwards, an intern with Plymouth Film, and what you just watched was Vlad and Nick, a fascinating and eye-catching short film in our Northern Shorts category. With us today is the film director Taylor Morden. Taylor, it's nice to finally meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
This film, how did you come up with the film? Like, how did you bring vampires and Santa together? Like, what was your thought behind it?
Yeah, there was a local film showcase here in Eugene, and they were like, "Do you guys have any short films for it? We're screening um in the beginning of December." And I was like, "Oh, December, it'd be cool to do something about Christmas." I
Mhm.
was like, I always like Christmas movies, but at the time when they announced it, it was October. I was like, "Ah, it'd be cool to do something about Halloween." And my brain just started going about vampires and Santa Claus and how similar their stories are, how many, you know, how many ways they cross over. Because Santa Claus is a mythical being. Spoiler alert, kids. Just like vampires, and they share a lot of traits, and I thought that was interesting. Started trying to come up with an idea for a movie based on that, and then we made this short as like a proof of concept of like, see, it works.
Um, Your film has that I've noticed has a little bit of everything. It has two best friends that fall apart in the end, love, murder, sorrow, and way more than that. Did you mean to have like a little bit of everything in your film?
Yeah, because it was kind of like I said, I wanted to do like a feature film
Hmm.
with this idea. So I was like, what can we cram in? So it's like it is a short film that stands alone, but it's also almost like a teaser for like a bigger story. So that's why we wanted to put so many things in it.
Kind of like a trailer of its own.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, in case anybody's watching and has like a couple $1 million and wants to give it to us to make the feature, that's why we made it.
what was the film process like for you? Like, how long did it take for you to film Vlad and Nick?
We shot most of it over a weekend, over a couple of days here in Eugene. There were a few pickup shots outside of that, but yeah, it was pretty quick. It was mostly 2 very long days.
How many hours would you say you put into directing and editing and all of
Too many hours? I don't know.
it?
I mean, because so I had a producer, David Moore, worked on it with me.
Mhm.
We started, from the writing process all the way through filming and editing. No, I mean, it was like a month from start to finish, and
Mhm.
then I don't know hours wise, lots,
Lots of them.
50 maybe, 40. I don't know.
What would you say was the easiest part of the film?
Easiest part?
Did you
Um,
consider something easy for the film?
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, finding our Santa Claus was, I think, the easiest because I had a friend. His name's Dave Felton. He lives in Bend, and he is a professional Santa Claus. So
Oh
he had
wow.
his own costume, and you know,
Mhm.
he's an actor too. And so I was like, "Do you want to be in this?" And he sent me this picture of him in that costume as Santa Claus, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, done. It's perfect."
So when I was first watching your film, I thought it was gonna be something about Vlad being like kind of like the bad guy, since he like usually vampires are considered like the dark bad guys and would be like on Santa's naughty list and stuff. But it wasn't really like that. When I saw it, I was surprised that Santa was a vampire. Like, I was shocked.
Nice.
And it made me invested in the film to like watch more. Like, how did Santa become a vampire in the first place? It makes you really invested.
Cool.
Um, why did you decide to make Santa a vampire for the film?
Well, like I said, because of the story, the mythology crossover. It just felt like, oh, if Santa's a vampire, that explains everything. How he can fly, how he can travel around the world so quickly, why he only works at night, why, all these things that
Mhm.
vampires and Santa Clauses do. And then we just started thinking, like, what if Santa is not necessarily real, is just a vampire, and then everybody, you know, said, "Oh, there's the story of Santa Claus," and he just sort of took it up and started doing it as a way to sneak into kids' houses and eat them or whatever. Um, so it was just a wouldn't it be neat kind of idea of it'd be cool if Santa was a vampire.
Mhm.
It would explain everything. In a world where vampires are real, that would make sense. And then I like the idea of having, like the Vlad character he's not a good guy, but he's not a bad guy. He's just, he's going through some stuff. So I think that that level of like complicated character where everybody's everybody does good things, everybody does bad things. Not everybody's just a bad guy. Although I think Santa in ours is a bad guy.
Um, when Vlad, after the character that was playing Santa Claus killed Vlad's wife, when I was watching it, it kind of looked like Vlad was taking revenge on him for killing his wife, so and turning him immortal, so he could live uh, all his life stuck as how he was.
Hmm.
Was it more like revenge, or was it Vlad was never alone?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think you'd have to ask him. It's like I said, in the short film version, we didn't overthink it so much. In the feature film, we would probably get into that more. But it's sort of ambiguous. It's like, is it is it a gift to live forever or is it a curse?
Mhm.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Would you say a lot of short films like this one are a great way to find people that will give you the opportunity to make them into a movie or bigger films itself?
I don't know. I've made a lot of short films and no one's ever given me any money to make the feature. I think I do it mostly as just a creative outlet because it's fun because like I said, you can spend only a month and you come up with an idea, you film it, you edit it, and it's done. Whereas when you try to make a feature length film, I've written a whole bunch of scripts and it's just, you need so much money and so many people and so much time to make those that, I'm still hopeful that I will make all those movies, but you can't just do it. And with the short films, you can kind of just you do it. I mean, it costs a little bit of money, but it's not anything like what it costs to do a feature. And you can just sort of put your mind to it and make something. And that's what I like about filmmaking is just the doing. So um, I don't know that it's a good way to to sell an idea. I know a lot of people have done it. Some big famous movies
Mhm.
started out as shorts, but it hasn't happened to me.
So I saw when I was on Film Freeway that in your description there was something that said the blockbuster. Were you part of the filming process for the last blockbuster?
Yeah, I was the director of that movie. I made that movie.
Uh, I actually went there recently and I saw it everywhere. It's
Nice.
kind of really cool to actually meet the person that made it, honestly. What was the process like for you um, during the whole process of Vlad and Nick?
Um, well, like I said, we wrote it, and it was like still pandemic times, and so it was just kind of like we wrote it to be able to do it safely, mostly one location and outdoors. Um, and then it was just a lot of planning and prep work, and casting actors and finding locations and getting costumes and props and things like that. And then, like I said, 2 days of shooting, and a couple weeks of editing and putting it together. I was trying to get it done for that local film showcase I told you about.
What was the name of the local film case that you were making the film for?
I don't remember. I think it might have been called a local film showcase. But the Eugene filmmakers, I forget the name of the Facebook group is, Lane County filmmakers.
Mhm,
They It's just a great group of people. It's super collaborative, and most of the people who worked on this short I found through that Facebook group.
mhm,
And I had moved to Eugene last summer, so I'd only been here 6 months when we did this short, and it's just been really great to work with other people who really like making films, and
mhm.
so it was an opportunity. Um, whenever there's a screening at a theater, you're like, you want to make something for it. So
Mhm.
that's sort of why we put our heads together and made this.
What was did you have to do any kind of location scouting for Vlad and Nick, or was there a very open area for it?
Yeah, I had done location scouting. I had worked, my buddy Walter King was making a feature film at that house,
Mhm,
and I had helped him out a couple of times on his shoots. So I knew that house would work, and I contacted them, and they're very filmmaker friendly, so they'll let you use it for
mhm,
very affordable rates. And then the outdoor spaces, I had helped another local filmmaker with a film at that location. So I had been to all these places for
mhm.
other projects. So I knew, and with an outdoor space, yeah, kind of anything will work. There's trees all over Oregon, so you don't have to be that specific, but this one has parking and bathrooms and, a place at the river,
Necessity
but
for
also, yeah, it was accessible and practical for people, um, which would have been everything we needed, except it ended up being very cold that weekend. And so we also needed some like vans to warm people up.
Mhm. How did you go about finding actors, especially, like, the children actors and actresses that were in the film?
Yeah, again, through the Facebook groups and through asking people, all the grown-ups in it were people I sort of knew, but the kids, it was just, parents submit the kids. You say
Mhm,
you want to make a film, and I need, you know, people of these ages, hopefully, and you change it based on what you get. But I was very impressed by the kids we found, and they did a great job. And a lot of them, they're only in one shot or like a quick little scene. So we made it more complicated than it needed to be, but everybody showed up and did a great job, I thought.
would you say that, the kids that were doing the only for, like, a few minutes of the shooting, did you think they had a lot of fun just doing that small little pivot in the film?
Yeah, it seemed like they all had fun. It looked like a real film set, and so they got to show up and do, and just even to be in the film for 10 seconds, it still takes an hour. And, some of them had fangs, so that's like hair and makeup and time and wardrobe. And, they had to practice if they had lines. So it was, even though it's only a few seconds in the film, it's still a couple hours on set.
Mhm. Hey, do you have anything else that you would like to say about Vlad and Nick?
No, I'm excited people are getting to see it. We're playing a bunch of festivals, so this is really really neat. And Klamath is great. And if you're watching this, I assume you're streaming all these shorts on your computer or something. So that's cool. Do that. Watch the rest of them.
Hey, thank you so much, Tyler, for being a part of the Columbus Film Festival. Um,
Thanks for having me.
Vlad and Nick will stream on Sunday, September 18th in our Northern Short category.
Awesome.